Rituals for Happiness, since this book has been published maybe 6 months ago, I developed this ritual journaling workshop, and I did my first workshop with Lululemon on Regent Street just before lockdown, actually. So it's quite recently, and then it's developed since then. And so I've kind of put something on my website where you can download and create your own ritual journaling journal. And the reason I've done this is because my book gives lots of practical tips, morning, afternoon, evening, body, mind, soul. But I wanted to bring it to life. Like, for example, I write in my book that stretching in the evening is such a great way to end the day, because you wake up the next morning feeling much better in the body, and you feel a bit looser when you go to sleep, and you sort of relax yourself into that evening mode, put the candle on, put some music on. However, even though I've written about that in my book, and even though I really love the idea, I don't always do it. And now that I'm at home a lot more, I have the chance to do it. But again, there's always something better that comes up. I'm studying right now, I'm doing a course, and so that sometimes takes priority, or I've got something else to finish, or I've gone for a run, but my body always feels tight. And so last week when I wrote down, I journaled about like how I was feeling and how I could feel better and how I could get to what I wanted to feel. I realized that one of the things, this is a very simple example, of course, one of the things is to stretch, to use my foam roller. And I wrote in there, and again, I've been putting it on Instagram, I don't know if you've seen it, but I wrote in there, stretch on the foam roller, put my evening playlist on, because I have a playlist, and put the candle on. Now, I may not have done all those three if I hadn't written it down. And so it's helped me be accountable to myself, and just be accountable generally, and also understand how I'm feeling, because often I don't really know. It's unless I ask myself the question and I really try and figure out or tune into my brain, my mind, my body, how do I know how I'm actually feeling? Therefore, this ritual journaling has become a lot more realized, I guess, and developed further for me as well. And while it's developed, it's actually become simpler and simpler. So every day sort of asking myself, okay, this is how I feel, this is what I could be doing. But overall, this is the sort of, so when I did the Lululemon workshop, I put together a booklet, a handwritten booklet. And one of the first things I wrote in there, which is also what I now use a template of on my phone to say how am I feeling, how do I want to feel, was this page. Now, if you have a notebook and a pen right now, you can start noting it down, but you can also look on my website and download the ritual journaling workshop, which is not this, it's a more sort of, it's a much more condensed version of this. So in this, the first page is intention. How do I feel right now? So to try and figure out your intention, asking yourself certain questions. So how do I feel right now? And just tune in, close your eyes for a second, be like, well, I feel happy but flustered, or sad and anxious, or positive or just positive. How do I want to feel? Okay, so if I'm sad and flustered, sad, then I want to feel happy. That's the simplest thing. If I'm flustered, well, I want to feel more organized. I want to feel motivated. So it just, I haven't given a list of things to choose from. You can pick 2 or 3, but essentially a lot of them just can boil down to one. Because if you really think about it, what's the most important thing? So try and figure out 1 or 2 things and note them down and write them here, or on the ritual workshop, journaling workshop on my website, the download that's there. And then the next question is why. Again, now that's not entirely important, but it's nice to understand the reason. If you have time, time to sit down and understand the reason why you want to feel more motivated, like you want to accomplish something, or you want to feel more organized because you want to feel less confused, or you want to feel happier because that will make your day brighter. It's just nice to have a reason, because it provides that motivation going forward. Now, the 4th question is, how does my body feel? And I think that's very important. Body and mind are very, very linked. Ayurveda, but all systems of medicine, we all know that these two connections are very strong. You know, how we feel in our mind will affect how our body feels. How we feel in our body, vice versa, will affect our mind and the state of our mental health. And therefore, I've just written something down, which I'll just read you, which is that physiology is really, really important. So, and that's the one thing that we know we can work on. So resetting, for example, the central nervous system and working on the physiology will, from that, we can change our emotions. And therefore, say, for example, the easiest thing, starting the morning happy. Now, how do we start the morning happy? If we wake up and we know we're going to have that like gut-wrenching, hollow feeling in our stomach because, I don't know, we're going through a really difficult time, and many of us might be right now, then how do we lift ourselves from that? How do we remain positive? So one of the things is getting fresh air and moving. So maybe a short brisk walk first thing in the morning is what you need to reset that central nervous system, work on the physiology, and therefore, by working on physiology, you've used the simplest way to reset your positivity in the uncertain time that you're in. So that's what I mean by physiology. You know, we know that, for example, doing exercise will release endorphins. So maybe starting the day with exercise, even though you may not want to, you maybe feel tired, maybe doing just something that will make sure you move, even if it's just breath work outside in the garden, and a quick 5-minute walk. That will just get your blood pumping, the oxygen through your body, and the endorphins release. And endorphins are happy hormones, which we all need. So that's the easiest way to sort of reset the positivity in your mind, in your life, in your day-to-day, and in your morning, so that the rest of the day filters through really, really well. So that was the question. That was a long answer to telling you about why feeling in my body is very, very important. So how does my body feel? Does it feel tired? Does it feel tight? Does it feel exhausted or energized? And how do I want to feel in my body? So again, that's a good question, because, you know, if you're doing this journaling late at night and you're feeling really lethargic and your body's feeling, like the other night I was telling you, my body's feeling really tired. I'd been for a run and I knew I needed to stretch, but I just wasn't making the time for it. I have a foam roller. I don't even need a foam roller. You can stretch without it. Or you can put a yoga nidra on and just really relax into it. Or do a yin yoga class online. There's so many options. But I hadn't done any of those because I was just going through different things, to-do lists, this, that, and the other, and I just not got around to it. But writing down and understanding that, how do I want to feel in my body? I want to feel looser, I want to feel stretched out, I want to feel more relaxed. If you write those things down, and then the final question, which is, how can I get there? How can I actually feel all those things? Sometimes the answer is very, very simple, like a daily stretch, which could be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And I know that I wouldn't have necessarily got to that stage of feeling really tight in my body had I done a daily stretch exercise rather than leave it for 7 days. And yes, of course, I stretch a little bit after the run, but not a longer yin yoga stretch, which is what I know I need. So I know what I need, but I don't often do it, and therefore writing it down really helps me. So that's the immediate answer. You know, what can I do to actually make sure I feel X, Y, Z tomorrow? You can come up with a few things overnight that will just help you feel more positive, better in your body, and just better generally. And it will give you that pick you up that you need. And those immediate things, you will see the difference from. And then you can write down that those things are the daily things that you want to do in life. The next page, I've written about daily affirmations, because I think sometimes when we're feeling low, affirmations can really, really help. But it's not about just feeling low. If you want to achieve something, or you're aiming for something, or you just feel like you want to feel happy every single day, or feel something every single day, then doing an affirmation and repeating it again and again and again, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, just sets into your system. And again, you're then working on the sort of on the physiology in a sense, because it's something easy that you can do, but it's getting set into place and you're manifesting it. And there's a lot of research that's been done behind the power of manifestation and the power of affirmations. So repeating and maybe putting that on your wall, like putting that particular affirmation in your wall. It could be, I am happy and worthy of love. It could just be that. It just depends on what you're feeling and what you want, and again, what you want to feel, where you want to get to. So for example, I am making it happen, or everything has happened, or every day is better for me, or each day I feel better and better. And that immediately gives you that sense of improving every single day. So maybe do a bit of research on affirmations if that's something you want to do. Or just come up with something that you know will work for you and repeat that maybe twice a day. First thing in the morning and then mid-afternoon when you need that sort of pick me up, you need a break, maybe you're having your chai. Repeat those affirmations. Maybe go out into the garden and repeat it to the sun and the sky. And really visualize those things, not just happening in the future, but taking place right now. Because there's a lot of power in visualization. So that's affirmations, and you can write that down in your booklet. And then I've written quotes that inspire me. Now, I've not written any quotes down, but just think if there are any quotes, or if there are some quotes that you really love and you want to keep revisiting, or you can just change them up. You can put a board up on your wall, and you can rub out every week and rub out the and rewrite whichever quote works for you, and that can be the quote for the week. And it can be anything. Just think about how you want to feel by the end of that week and write a quote that works accordingly. Books and podcasts that I want to read is the last thing on that page. Now, it could be anything. It could be a book, it could be a podcast, it could be a video, it could be something, it's anything that calls to you. And I think it's nice right now that we have the time and we're going through this very lengthened phase that we've never been through in our lives. And all of us are in it together, and we just don't really know when it's going to end. So there's a lot of uncertainty. To start the day with something positive. So yes, it's important to tune into the news and know what's going on, but don't maybe start your day with that. If you're on WhatsApp groups that have negative news coming in, or everyone's sending each other links and things that are not necessarily funny, because there's a lot of funny things going on right now as well. But if it's just news and dire news and statistics and things that you need to know, but not first thing in the morning, try and tune out of it. Try and maybe not look at those WhatsApp groups until later. I'm not really sure if you can do that as a setting, but try and not listen to anything negative first thing in the morning, because we want to try and engage the positivity and infuse ourselves with more positivity during this time. And then this will become a part of you, and this will become something that you practice as a ritual going forward in life. So rather than listening to news or anything negative, read something that uplifts you. It could be something really short. And if it's not reading, watch something that uplifts you. Or listen to a podcast that uplifts you. So anything that calls to you, it could literally be anything. Maybe start the day with one podcast, listen to it for 15 minutes while you are doing your breath work in the morning. And then when you have your lunch break, depending on if you're living with somebody or if you're alone, during your lunch break, after lunch or during lunch, you can listen to another 15 minutes of the podcast. Again, tuning into the positivity and resetting that positivity in your day. And then again, do it in the evening. So it could be, like I said, it could be podcast, a video, reading something that is uplifting, a book that really calls out to you, or just there's so many people who are doing guided meditations and yoga classes and all sorts of things on Instagram Live. I've been doing a chai sort of stories Instagram Live with friends of mine around the world where we're making chai. And essentially, it's just a way to engage with people and to feel connected, because that's what this period is allowing us, or making us realize that we are all very, very connected, more than we think, and that these communities are so strong and everyone is keeping each other uplifted and positive and staying afloat. So tune into something and maybe make that sort of a religious practice during the day, because the best of us can sometimes get down when the energies of the world has, in a sense, been zapped, and yet we have all this time right now to do things. And yes, there are people out there doing a lot, and there's people out there who are suddenly finally getting into rhythms, and there's some of us who are finding it still very, very difficult because there's no routine and we can't go out. But just trying to make the most of that in whatever way we can. and using this beautiful sunshine to our advantage by keeping the windows open, going out, getting fresh air, maybe doing our breathing exercises outside, doing a short meditation while we walk. It could be anything, but just things that sort of give you that sense of positivity, upliftment, and a general sort of smile on our faces. So, what's next? Thinking about rituals in a less immediate way, in a more long-term way. So trying to create a booklet of rituals for yourself. We can think about, for example, picking 3 things for the morning, the afternoon, and evening. And you can look through my book, or you can think about what really works for you. You may already be doing so many things, and just put them into your list, because it's such a nice thing to put there, just to make sure you stick to it. So, for example, I love doing these online classes. I've done cycle, hardcore, some yoga, going for a run, and I mix it up, but I don't always have a set routine. And maybe I'm missing something that I know I'll really enjoy. So if I know that, for example, on a Tuesday and a Thursday, I'll do some sort of an online class, maybe I'll decide which one it is the night before, rather than thinking in the morning, oh, I want to do it. Because often when I leave it to later, I'm 50-50. So like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, or if I feel a bit tired and I can't be bothered, then I leave it to later. And then last thing at night, I'm like, oh God, I didn't even do that. So actually writing down that on Monday night and on Wednesday night, I look at the timetables and decide what to do. That's the simplest example. And let's see what works for you. You know, include something that, so during the day, you want to include something for the mind, something for the body, something for the soul. Mind and soul sort of go together, and all of it will work on each other. So for example, running is for the body, but actually it helps our minds, it helps our souls, it uplifts us, connect with nature all around us. All of that helps the entire well-being of our human bodies and minds. So a lot of it will filter into each other. But, you know, as an easy way to sort of make your list, do a sort of maybe a body and mind and soul could go together. So it's just very easy for you. And think about your morning. Okay, wake up and I smile. I wake up and I do 5 minutes of breathing exercises. I give some of those breathing exercises in my book, the basic ones, the ones that really, really help me. I'll also talk you through the most important ones, but that are important to me right now. Breathing exercises, 5 minutes, and then maybe writing down whatever's on your mind, maybe something you dreamt, or anything that comes to your mind first thing in the morning, because that allows us to clear our mind, download our thoughts on paper, and it could just be something that you're grateful for. So you think of something the day before that just really stuck with you and inspired you. Maybe it's just watching the flowers, or seeing the flowers on your way, on your daily walk, or whatever it is, you know, watering the plants, watching something that really inspired you, whatever it is, maybe write those things down. So it doesn't have to be gratitude, but just downloading thoughts in the morning. It's nice to include gratitude within that. And that could be, again, another 2-3 minutes. So we're thinking about the morning smile, doesn't take any time at all, breath work, 5 minutes, and the writing down of thoughts, so that's 3 minutes. So that's 8 minutes so far. And then you put on your morning playlist, create a playlist on your phone that is uplifting, that are songs that really inspire you, make you feel great. And I've got a recommended playlist in my book for morning, afternoon, and evening, but use whatever you like. And just play that, you know, as soon as you wake up and while you're getting ready, because it will sort of put you into that good frame of mind, or put a podcast on, whichever one you want. So see what rituals fit into your life and what works for you. And then maybe weekly, you can do, say, for example, twice a week, a face massage. So schedule that in. You know, Tuesday and Thursday, I'll do a face massage before I go for a shower. Tuesday and Thursday, I'll also put oil in my hair 20 minutes before I go for a shower. Again, that's a lovely ritual. It's just a great thing to do for the hair. And it only requires putting it on for 15-20 minutes. I've spoken about that actually in my not in my podcast, in my Instagram live chat with Dr. Deepa Apte, who is an Ayurvedic practitioner that I've studied with, and that's on my Instagram at Mira Manek. So you can actually see it on the highlights where I've written about what she said, and why putting oil in the hair, massaging the face, massaging the marma points, like, is really, really great and important. and stimulating those areas, the energy points in our body. And which oils to use as well, generally sesame-based oils, but you can also use coconut oil in your hair, especially if you have, this is not something she says, but for example, if you have a dry scalp, then coconut oil is amazing for the hair. So maybe schedule those things in, and those are of course for the body. But all of these things just make us feel calmer and make us feel happier, because, you know, we get up, we have a slightly slower morning, and we do these things that make us feel fresher and just set ourselves up for a good day ahead. And then, you know, think about your afternoon. How does your afternoon look? Are you busy? Are you doing lots of work? Are you taking breaks? Are you going for those snacks that high sugar? Is that making you feel guilty? Are you connecting with friends and people? Are you chatting to colleagues? And depending on that, create your rituals. You know, create rule, even if it's just a rule, like, you know, having a proper lunch, maybe allowing yourself 15 minutes longer for that lunch so that you don't crave that snack later. And if you're going to crave that snack later and it really affects you, then maybe creating a snack for yourself rather than thinking, oh, I need that sugar, let me go for a chocolate bar. Maybe, you know, chopping up an apple, putting some almond butter, peanut butter, whatever it is, on the side, ready with some cinnamon, and that's your snack ready. So at least you know you're grabbing something good rather than going for that chocolate bar. So I'm just talking about food right now, but it could be anything. And I know in the afternoon, often I feel that sluggishness and I feel like I need something to pick me up and wake me up, and I'm craving that sugar. And usually I make a cup of chai for myself, you know, that's what I love doing. I've just finished my chai, the morning one that I had after a long walk. So make yourself a cup of chai and brew it and boil it and have maybe a sweet snack with that, you know, a date and a nut and some nuts. And that will give you, and Ayurveda and a lot of practices out there say you shouldn't snack. And it's very true, because you want to allow your body to digest that big lunch or whatever you've had to eat. And therefore snacking slows down the digestive process, pushes down the food, and it pushes down undigested food. So ideally you don't want to snack, but sometimes we do need snacks, and sometimes we haven't had that massive lunch, and sometimes you can't function in the afternoon without snacks. So try and at least go for the healthier thing. And I think there's nothing wrong with 2 snacks a day in between meals, as long as you're not over snacking. And that's something that I'm very guilty of. I've been very guilty of in life, because I love snacking, and I have a real sweet tooth. But again, it's required, and it's made me discipline myself a lot. So I'm just going to check the time. Okay, we're okay. Do send me if you have any. So the other thing is in the afternoon, you know, try and include a digestive tea, because that's when especially if you have discomfort in the stomach, especially if you've had a large lunch, you know, later on, just try and include some sort of digestive tea. I would suggest the one that I have is with boiled water with cumin and cumin seeds and carom seeds. Now, carom seeds, or ajwain seeds as they're called, are very, very good for bloating and any gas issues. But you could just do ginger tea, you know, fresh ginger grated into water with a bit of lemon, and that's your digestive tea. It can be hot as a tea, but if you don't like hot drinks, boil lots of water with those seeds, or, you know, the choices are fennel, cumin, coriander seeds. So fennel seeds, cumin seeds, coriander seeds, ajwain or carom seeds. I am missing something. I know I'm missing something. You can put a few fenugreek seeds in there as well, but you don't need so many of those. But you literally only need a pinch of these. And you can even put a little bit of turmeric in there. And you can either mix it all together. There's nothing wrong with mixing all of these things together and just putting a whole teaspoon of all of these things. Or you can put 1 or 2. Just choose whatever you want. Look up the benefits if you want, but all of them will give you some sort of digestive benefit. So that's a good thing to turn to or to have, as well as a snack if you're having a snack. And also maybe check in with yourself, you know, put a reminder on your phone twice in the afternoon just to sit upright. So check in with your body. Are you sitting upright? Are you sort of slouching over your desk? Maybe just get up and move about and just free your back and spine and energize yourself very, very quickly. Or walk outside for like 2 minutes and come back in. So it doesn't require a lot. It's just checking in with yourself, reminding yourself to sit upright, often we go back to our sort of automated set positions, what we're used to. And so it's good to check in with yourself. And then the evening. So what can we do in the evening? So it just depends on what you've done in your day. So maybe in your weekly evening, then you can schedule in twice a week or once a week, a yoga class, depends on what you generally do. Maybe one evening a week you go for an evening walk rather than a morning walk. Maybe every single evening you do a 5-minute stretch rather than a 20-minute stretch once a week. So do a 5-minute evening stretch, maybe an hour before bed. Put on some beautiful music, your evening playlist. You can use the playlist from my book as well. And by the way, you can actually, my playlists are now on Amazon Alexa, I've been told. So you can literally say, Alexa, play Prajna playlist, and it'll play the Prajna playlist, which is great. But put some nice music on, put your positive podcast that you're listening to on, whatever you want, and dim the lights. So get ready for relaxing yourself into sleep later on. And I think creating that space of evening, winding down, relaxing, it also helps us tune into that evening mode. So dimming the lights is the first thing. Maybe lighting a candle while you're doing your evening stretch practice, because it elevates it. It makes us feel special, I guess, and also gives it a spiritual element. And think of these practices as spiritual rituals, because they all can be. Even going for a run can be spiritual practice, because you're opening yourself up to nature, you're noticing things around you, you're feeling the fresh air, sweep across your face, you're inhaling so much oxygen, and your thoughts are floating away. You're thinking about, you're completely drifting off into a trance. So essentially everything can be a ritual, a spiritual ritual. I did just get a comment, but I don't know, it just disappeared very quickly. I don't really know how this works. Anyway, and thank you all for tuning in, by the way, and staying with me for this long. I've not done this online before, so it's quite an interesting practice. And then, so here we are. This is what I've written: morning, afternoon, evening. As I said, this looks different in the booklet, the downloadable free booklet on my website. So I've written on this one, having morning rituals instills a sense of mindfulness for the day ahead. So for example, today I went for a long walk in the morning, and I've not done that yet. I usually go for an afternoon run 4 times a week or 3 times a week. And it's a very different route. I go to a ground and I just do a 20, 30-minute run for the last 3 weeks. And it's made me feel amazing. It's made me feel great. But today I changed it and I went for a long walk in the morning. I did, I think 5,000 steps, maybe an hour's walk. And it was just amazing because it just put me in such a great mood. It was like a different, I've got a question. Oh, sorry, don't know where it went. 1 second, guys. What is the name of my book? Okay, let me answer. Ooh. So whoever's asking me what the name of my book is, the first book is actually a cookbook called Saffron Soul, which I don't have with me right now. But this is the book that I'm talking about right now, which is Prajna, Prajna, Ayurvedic Rituals for Happiness. And I published this in September of 2019. And it basically is a morning, afternoon, evening rituals that you can do in your day, but also interspersed with lots of Indian philosophy, spirituality, my own experiences, why I wrote this book, and also bringing to life different things in India, because I've done a lot of travel in India. And often that comes to mind when I'm doing my spiritual practices. And it gives reasoning for everything. And it also has lots of recipes, because that's my main thing, giving lots of recipes. And I do a lot of recipe lives on my Instagram as well, Mira Manek. But this book is available on Amazon. I've had some amazing reviews and a lot of people, connecting with me over it. I've put a lot of my own personal story into it as well. And I'm just really, I actually really love referring to it myself as well. And I also talk you through I've got little meditations in my book, and I don't talk about meditation in the sense that this is something where you need to, sit still, close your eyes upright and tune out of your thoughts for like 10-15 minutes. Because sometimes, especially when you're starting out with meditation, it's daunting. It's not easy to like still the mind. You can be doing other things. You could be, it's very hard to still the mind. And sometimes you don't have that motivation to meditate. So how do you, having moments of meditation, moments of stillness, which is what I call it in my book, where, for example, sitting outside right now in the garden for 5 minutes and just closing your eyes, feeling the grass under you, feeling the earth, feeling the temperature of the earth. Is there a breeze? How does that feel on your face? Are you feeling hot or cold? Listening to the birds. So tuning into every single sense. And that's one of the meditations in my book. And that's the one that comes to mind right now because of how beautiful it is outside right now. So just think of these short moments of stillness as meditations, and then meditation won't be so daunting. And the other thing is that when you've not done much meditation before, doing an activity-led meditation is actually the best way to start. So for example, candle meditation, it's called Triyoga. It actually enhances the strength of your eyes. So looking at the candle for 30 seconds and then looking away for 30 seconds, looking at the candle for 30 seconds and then away, doing that for about 2 minutes. So that's an activity-led meditation. Similarly, sound baths and sound bowls are a way to get you into a meditative state without trying with too much effort to get into it. And you'll feel like you go into this deep sleep, but actually it's a state. It's not just sleep, it's a deep meditative state. And so reaching that, you'll realize the power of that and how that made you feel. And slowly but surely, you'll tune into that a lot more. I'm just going to see if I send me another message. Oh, there we are. I found journaling to be quite helpful, although right now I'm in close proximity to family members. I feel like it's going to be hard to answer this right now on live because it's quite a long question. Yeah, I guess the question is sort of to understand how to do rituals without sort of taking on other people's energies, because if you're around family members a lot, it can be quite difficult because we're forced into this situation, which we've never been in before. I don't know what the answer to that is because everyone's situation is different and not having your own space is not easy. And sometimes, as positive a person as you are, being surrounded by even one person or 5 people who drag your energy down, it's difficult to stay on top of your positivity in that situation. I guess the only way of doing it is by tuning out as often as you can. So attending to people's needs and being around people because you have to, but maybe going out for that solitary walk or some fresh air, or doing a live Instagram live workout and scheduling that in where no one can disturb you during that time. I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is. And obviously, hopefully, in a week's time, or give it time, and hopefully you'll tune into that being together a lot more. Maybe. I don't, again, it's quite a hard one to answer. It's a really difficult time for so many people. And like I said, a lot of people have now found the rhythm within that time. I spoke to a friend yesterday who said that she just realized suddenly that she was rushing around and had no time. And now she's like, I'm actually really loving this pace of life. I'm eating at home. I'm not craving or going for those snacks and brownies that I always do. My kids, I'm spending more time with my kids. It's nice to go out for a walk. And I think there are so many positives. It's hard. Of course it's hard. I'm not saying it's the same for everyone. It's definitely not. But there is a sense of newfound love for something. And if you're the kind of person who wants to accomplish something during this time and make a big change, then this is a great time for it. If you're not, that's totally fine too. But whatever you choose to do, it is totally fine. If social media is affecting you right now too much, then tune out of that. Maybe make that a ritual. Maybe make the 1 hour to tune into social media that 1 hour and then switch off from it. So see what's affecting you, and everyone will be different. I think we're coming to the end of that. I need to sign off now. It's nearly 45 minutes. Thank you all for tuning in and for asking your questions and for allowing me to speak, Healthflix, and for allowing me to be a part of your wonderful community. And like I said, this is my book, Prajna, beautiful pink cover, available on Amazon. And if you want to do a ritual, your own ritual journaling booklet, then you can download that on my website. As soon as you go onto my website, which is miramanek.com, miramanek.com, there'll be a pop-up which will lead you to the ritual journaling page where you can download the booklet and do it. And I'll also be posting more on my website and on my Instagram daily. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Diana. Amazing. Thanks so much. So nice to know that you're all here, because it's such a bizarre sort of way to present. And hopefully I'll do more. And I'll also be doing more Instagram lives, and I'm doing lots of cooking over on my Instagram. So do join me whenever you can, and do stay in touch and let me know how ritual journaling or anything that I'm doing is helping you. Thank you so much. Oh, goodbye.